This is the Tallulah Edwin Rosenberg Gallery, the most prestigious art exhibit on the West Coast. We are here at the opening night of Reflets de Moi, an exhibit headlined by the esteemed Charlie Beaumont, a photographer known for their eccentric work and reclusion. We begin here tonight with Beaumont's first work entitled The Solitary Sandpiper, a portrait of their beloved cousin, Theodore. Theodore Maxwell Canis spent most of his childhood living in the San Francisco Tenderloin on Geary Street. His days were spent fighting, and his nights working at the salmon packing department at Fisherman's Wharf. Despite this, Theodore was a sentimental boy tethered by the relationship he shared with his cousin Charlie. Theodore was not bred for the classroom, but some envy of his cousin kept him driven to complete his studies. Though chemistry presented itself as a roadblock. Theodore's home life was much like the time he spent on the streets of San Francisco. Once every 2 weeks, Theodore would take the bus to Charlie's house just to avoid having to sit through one of his parents' tirades. Charlie had moved to the Bay Area from France 2 summers prior and had already lost her accent. This was partly due to constant exposure to Theodore and his distinctively Californian tone. Charlie and Theodore spent their days having conversations that lasted hours. Conversations about the streets of Paris and the howls of wounded dogs after a long life in the arena of underground dogfighting. But their favorite shared hobby was taking photographs with Theodore's Yashica FX2. One fall, a letter arrived, and the cousins would have to go their separate ways. Theodore had been hiding his college acceptance letter from Charlie. No words were exchanged between the cousins that night, but Theodore did not leave Charlie without a goodbye. Amelia Hartford was a hopeless romantic. For all parts of her life, no member of her family went without vocation, and Mr. Darcy seemed better company. All of her ideas of love and romance came out of her favorite books. She daydreamed often about meeting her perfect soulmate, her knight in shining armor. She was, in many ways, an optimist.
Are you okay?
It was clear from then on that their relationship had become tangible. Nothing brought Amelia more joy than the routine and artistry of sentimental things. No story before hers was quite so perfect. But after a year and 7 months, the passion had dried. There was no time and a schedule for a girl who wasn't a photograph.
Salut, chérie. Serez-vous intéressé par du château? Charlie.
And there they sat, for 37 minutes, just staring, but with each subtle twitch of her eyebrow, flexing of her lips, or dilation of her eyes, Charlie knew what she was saying. You are the most revolting, self-absorbed, greedy bastard I have ever met. I would very much enjoy squashing you like a snail under my boot. In reality, her final statement to Charlie was quite brief, though it encapsulated similar sentiments.
Goodbye, Charlie.
Years later, Amelia received a call from Charlie detailing their latest photo shoot, for which she would be the second subject. She did not know why they chose her, or why she was the second subject and not the first or the last, nor did she know why she accepted the offer or why Charlie's gaze felt so eerily cold during the shoot. All she knew was that her days of trying to save them were over, and that any love between the two was left at a cafe table years ago. Ah, this is a good one. Elizabeth Octavia Augustus was a child of wealth. As soon as she grew to understand what she had, she despised that she had it.
You also work at the coffee shop?
So I'm at the coffee shop every morning from 5:30 to 9, at the co-op Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon till 5, singing at the cafe every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. and, serving tables every weekend from 5 p.m. to midnight.
Is that all?
I also do freelance photography, art commissions, and clothing production, but that's just in my free time. So that leaves 9 to 5 basically every day except for Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's plenty of availability.
Apparently it is.
Whoa, what kind of camera's that?
Oh, it's a Yashica FX2.
Oh, that's so cool. I wish I could afford something like that. I have to shoot everything on this old thing.
How did you get into photography?
It's a long story. I don't know if I should.
All right.
But if you must know, my dad's a prick. Wouldn't let me keep a dying bird I brought home when I was 16.
Yikes.
Yeah. It was a big argument. I ended up leaving, cutting all contact, even getting some jobs, one of which was freelance photography. Senior portraits and prom photos are a surprisingly lucrative business.
So, are you an art major?
No, I'm undeclared. I'm going to Rosenberg Community College.
I mean, you should pick a major soon, right?
I mean, yeah, I will, but I have time.
But don't you want to do photography as like a career?
I like making money off it sometimes, but making something your career is so demanding.
I guess. Worth it though sometimes, right?
Sometimes.
Hey!
What's your painting?
Birds. Who's this? Oh, I'm Charlie. More birds?
So, Charlie, how do you know my girlfriend?
Oh, I was giving a lecture on photography and
It was dog shit. I went up to the Q&A panel afterwards and made sure they knew. Sounds about right. Yep, and we've been inseparable ever since. They're like my uncle.
So what are you painting for? Art class?
For fun. Here, we have more art supplies if you want to paint.
Sure. Are you sure?
Yeah, go on, Mr. Artiste.
Ellie's photo shoot proved to be the most difficult for Charlie due to the various scheduling conflicts that arose from her work schedule. Charlie Beaumont, is there anything you'd like to comment about this piece?
Yeah, thank you.
Charlie?
Sorry.
You ready, dickhead?
I think I'm done taking photos.
What?
You should have this. I'm serious.
Charlie.
Come on, we can talk about it later.
The night was going off.